entertained. Is this not why you are here?
Kohalayim Yahweh Bahashem Yahawashi Wahara Kakwadash Kohalayim Yahweh Bahashem Yahawashi Wahara Kakwadash Kohalayim Yahweh Bahashem Yahawashi Wahara Kakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well over the flock, and shalom to you brothers out here that's pushing the words of truth and sincerity. Shalom to all the faithful, hopeful elect of the Akim and the Akwaf out here, Israelite foreigners as well. So certain scriptures, man, they're going to inspire us. They're going to inspire us to be better, inspire us to walk in a better light, treat each other better. Of course, we learning a lot of these scriptures from our apostles and elders. That's why who we give double honors to. The breakdowns, who we give double honors to. The apostles and elders come with the breakdowns. And, you know, brothers, we started out being parrots, and we parrot. You know, we repeat, and that's the straight gate. That's the way in which the Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahawashi has provided for us in these end times to be nurtured by these men and then guided, you know, by experienced men who the Lord has dealt with, right? Who we believe are a lot of the prophets and apostles returning back in these last days. And so the scriptures, you know, with that being said, the scriptures emphasize certain things that really make us feel as if we can do this. This truth is possible, is conquerable. You know, in your mind, you have to believe that these things can come to pass and will come to pass, right? The scriptures talk about having that type of faith. The size of a mustard seed can move a mountain. So that's a small amount of faith that you just need to start with, but the Lord would allow that seed to take off and grow, and over time, it'll turn into the greatest and largest of trees. And so it only takes a little bit. So you got to watch and allow the spirit to really, once you come into that straight gate, you know, you in a camp, you amongst the brotherhood, you're learning, you're denying the flesh, you're suffering because you used to be emotional, you're used to things going your way, but the Lord sends chastisements in various forms and fashions. You might lose your job, woman, family members turn their back, so forth and so on. But you had this word, and then you become more reliant on the word. You become reliant on your brothers who you've only known for a period of time. So it's a beautiful thing to me and be amongst a body. You know, there's a lot of talk about, I guess it's a lot of what's going on outside the body. There's a lot of independent soldiers out here. And imagine going to fight a war just by yourself. Now everybody is Rambo. All right. Now everybody can do what Rambo do. All right. So there's a lot of lessons that you might not be able to apply because you're not in a body in the church. There's a lot of lessons that you're not be able to be taught because you're not in a body in the church. And yes, you have the word, but you need to be able to apply these certain situations. And ultimately, we're soldiers for Yahawashi, which means solitude. But there's a situation in which all the soldiers come together, and that's when the battles and wars is fought. You have to understand, one of the fact that Israel is a separated people is a curse unto us, that the Lord scattered us and divided us up. And so now you have one of the goodly, you know, things of this word is being able to have charity for your brothers, and you must be amongst men to be able to do that and really fulfill that out. Psalms 119:81 says, Calf, my soul fainteth for thy salvation, but I hope in thy word. And straight up, we just gonna hope in the words of the Lord. They inspire us to hope, man. They cause us to hope. Romans 15:4, whatsoever things were written aforetime, meaning the time before now, were written for our learning. So we definitely gonna learn as we start to apply and read and understand these scriptures, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. Well, how do we have patience? And how do we gain comfort in the times of trouble like this, when all the brothers is prophesying about destruction in the end? How do you have a mental balance? It's through the scriptures. It says, in that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures. So the scriptures give us the patience that's we looking for, right? And patience is moderation. Patience is suffering, the ability to suffer, Think about it. When you wait in line, if you ever been to an amusement park, and you're waiting in line, I mean, you could see people will still get in the line, and the line will say 2 hours. Or you go to Disney World, it'll say 2-hour wait. And people will still get in that line because they understand the reward is worth the wait. So the comfort that comes along with learning things that were written aforetime is that all the prophecies pointed to the very last one, right? Which is coming after the MOTB, which is salvation, which is kingdom of heaven, which is riches forevermore, immortal bodies, spiritual powers, having multiple children, having many wives, having lands and mansions in different galaxies that you will inherit, having dominion over your enemies and adversaries and conquerors in different nations and slaves. These things are reported in the scriptures. That's where we learn them from, and they give us hope and comfort. And so now we have that. It's Proverbs 22:19, that thy trust may be in the Lord. I have made known to thee this day, even to thee. So how's the Lord allow us to have to know these things and have comfort and patience? By his word, by his word. Now, one of the beautiful things I'm gonna read and just end it here about written aforetimes is you can go into the history of our people and see how they've all had faith, and they repeated a certain story to men even when they were in times of trouble. Certain stories were always repeated to refresh the memories of the afflicted, to refresh the memories of the downtrodden, and to refresh the memories of the persecuted, that there's vengeances of the Lord, and that many men before us who we are very familiar with in the scriptures have also suffered these very same afflictions and rose above, and the Lord did not destroy them. The Lord did not forget these men, and neither do we. This is dealing with Mattathias in the book of Maccabees 2. I'm going to read from the Good News Translation. You can read along in the KJV if you like. Chapter 2 and 1. During that time, a priest of the Jehoiarib family named Mattathias, who was the son of John and the grandson of Simeon, moved from Jerusalem and settled in Modin. Mattathias had 5 sons: John, also called Gadi; Simon, also called Thassi; Judas, also called Maccabeus; Eleazar, also called Abiram; and Jonathan, also called Aphas. So that's his 5 sons' names. When Mattathias saw all the sins that were being committed in Judea and Jerusalem, why? Because the Grecians had moved into town. This is during the Hellenistic dynasty, right? After Alexander, during Alexander's 4 generals had already been established in their various areas. And this is dealing with after Antiochus Epiphanes IV came around and started besieging Jerusalem and offering evil, wicked sacrifices unto the altar and forcing the Israelites to eat swine's flesh, and all type of atrocities were happening to our people. This is a very hellish time on earth at that time. When Mattathias saw all the sins that were being committed in Judea and Jerusalem, he said, "Why was I born to see these terrible things that ruin of my people, that ruin the people of my people and of the holy city? Must I sit here helpless while the city surrenders to enemies and the temple falls into the hands of foreigners?" And what I'm going down to is where I want to bring out what Mattathias, before he died, said to his sons. All right. This is verse 49. It says the death of Mattathias. When the time came for Mattathias to die, he said to his sons, listen up closely. These are the times of violence and distress. Arrogant people are in control and have made us an object of ridicule. But you, my sons, must be devoted to the law and ready to die to defend Yahweh's covenant with our ancestors. Remember what our ancestors did and how much they accomplished in their day. Follow their example, and you will be rewarded with great glory and undying fame. Remember how Abraham put his trust in the Lord when he was tested, and how the Lord was pleased with him and accepted him? Joseph, in his time of trouble, obeyed Yahweh's commands and became ruler over the land of Egypt. Phinehas, our ancestor, because of his burning devotion, was given the promise that his descendants would always be priests. Joshua was made a judge in Israel because he obeyed the command of Moses. Caleb brought back a good report to the community and was given a part of the land as a reward. David was made king and was given the promise of his descendants, that his descendants would always be kings because of his steadfast loyalty to Yahweh. Elijah, because of his great devotion to the law, was taken up into heaven. Hananiah, Azariah, and Mishael were saved from the flames because they had faith. Daniel was a man of integrity, and the Lord rescued him from the mouth of lions. Take each of these ancestors of ours as an example, and you will realize that no one who puts his trust in the Lord will ever lack strength. Don't be afraid of the threats of a wicked man. Remember that he will die, and all his splendor will end with worms feeding on his decaying body. Today, he may be highly honored, but tomorrow he will disappear. His body will return to the earth, and his scheming will come to an end. But you, my sons, be strong and courageous in defending the law, because it is through the law that you will earn great glory. And I heard that paraphrased by the GNT Bible, and instantaneously I knew that we are of that people. We are of that stock. Again, refreshing. The word inspires hope. Just when we're in a situation like that, it was dire stakes. Kill or be killed. It was terrible, right? He asked, why am I even alive to see the fall of my people turn to ruin like this, Lord? But yet and still, you'll be able to inspire hope in moments like that, in times of trouble and tribulation. Think of our ancestors, Akim. Think of our ancestors that you read about in the scriptures. You read about them for a reason. Think of them. Think of the brotherhood, certain things that brothers have went through when you're going through your crap, when you're going through your hell, when you're going through your persecution. Think of your brothers. Think of our ancestors. Think of the glory that you're going to get. Think of the reward. Think of the end. Asaph said in Psalms 73, I was envious when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. By the end of the chapter, he was glorifying the Lord because he understood their end. Kahalayim Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem Rekakwadash. I brought this out. This video is edifying. Until next time, Shalom, Abba, time for work.